All right, so you send in a ton of articles all about how businesses use statistics, and honestly, this stuff is way more interesting than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it really is.
We're talking about how companies are making huge decisions with this stuff, getting ahead of their competition, even seeing what's coming in the future.
Exactly like having a crystal ball, but it's all based on data.
So where do we even begin with all of this?
Well, it's interesting because everybody talks about data as, the new gold or the new oil, but just plain data on its own, it's
Yeah.
not really that useful.
Okay.
It's like if you have all the ingredients for a really amazing meal, but you have no recipe.
Right. You just have a pile of stuff.
Exactly, you just have a pile of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's where statistics come in.
Okay. So is statistics kind of like the recipe then?
That's a great way to put it. Statistics are the tools that help businesses take all that raw data and make sense of it. They organize it, interpret it, and pull out meaningful insights.
So it's about turning that pile of data into something you can actually use. I guess it's like having a map to navigate a city instead of just a list of street names.
That's a great analogy because with statistics, you can actually start to see the big picture and make smart decisions based on what the data is telling you.
Okay, so I'm starting to get the big picture here, but I'm guessing there are different types of statistics, right? What are the main ones we need to understand?
Yeah, definitely within the world of statistics, there are two main areas we need to explore: descriptive statistics and inferential statistics.
Okay, so let's dive into those a little bit more. I'm assuming descriptive statistics are all about understanding what's already happened, like painting a picture of the current situation.
Exactly. Think of it like taking a snapshot of your business performance. Descriptive statistics summarize data points like average customer spending, website traffic, sales figures, that kind of thing.
So it's about getting a clear view of what's happening right now.
Exactly. It helps answer questions like, what are my best-selling products? How much are customers spending on average? How many people are visiting my website?
Okay, so for example, let's say I have an online clothing store.
Mhm.
Could I use descriptive statistics to see which product categories are most popular?
Absolutely. You could see which items are flying off the virtual shelves, which ones are lagging behind, and you can use that information to make better decisions about inventory marketing and even product development.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's all about getting a handle on the present, but what about predicting the future? Is that where inferential statistics comes in?
You got it. Inferential statistics goes beyond describing what is and starts to predict what might be.
Okay, so how does that work in practice?
Well, imagine that same online clothing store wants to anticipate demand for the upcoming fall season. They can use inferential statistics to analyze past sales data factor and current fashion trends, and even look at weather forecasts to predict how many sweaters they'll need to stock.
So it's like using data to get a glimpse into the future and make smarter business decisions before it's too late.
Exactly. It's all about anticipating those trends and getting ahead of the curve.
Okay, this is all starting to sound incredibly powerful. But can we talk about some real-world examples of how companies are using this stuff? Because I'm all about seeing it in action.
Absolutely. One fascinating example is how companies like Target use something called A/B testing to optimize their marketing campaigns.
I've heard of A/B testing, but I'm not quite sure how it works. Can you break it down for us?
Sure, it's basically a scientific experiment applied to business decisions. So let's say Target wants to test out two different subject lines for an email promoting a new line of jeans.
Okay.
They'll divide their email list into two groups. Group A gets the email with subject line. One group B gets the email with subject line 2, and then they track which subject line gets more people to open the email and click through to the website.
So it's about trying different approaches and seeing which one actually works better.
Exactly. And the great thing about A/B testing is that it takes the guesswork out of decision making by analyzing the results using statistical methods. Target can confidently say which subject line was more effective and use that knowledge to improve future campaigns.
That's such a smart way to use data to refine your marketing strategy.
It really is, and it's not just limited to email marketing. You can use A/B testing to optimize everything from website layouts to product descriptions to social media ads.
Wow, so they're basically using data to get inside their customers' heads and figure out what makes them tick.
Pretty much. And another example that really shows the predictive power of statistics is how hospitals are using data to anticipate patient readmissions.
Oh, wow, that's really interesting. Tell me more about that.
So by analyzing factors like age, medical history, and treatment details, predictive models can identify patients who are at a higher risk of ending up back in the hospital after they've been discharged.
So they're using data to identify potential problems before they even happen.
Exactly. This allows hospitals to intervene early, provide more personalized care, and ultimately improve patient outcomes.
That's incredible. It's like they're using data to potentially save lives.
It really is a game changer for healthcare, and it highlights how data analysis can be used for so much more than just number crunching.
I'm starting to see that it's not just about crunching numbers, it's about using data to make better decisions, anticipate needs, and even potentially have a positive impact on people's lives.
Absolutely. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Businesses across all industries are using these techniques to innovate and gain a competitive edge.
Okay, I need to hear more what other industries are using statistics in surprising ways.
Well, think about retail giants like Walmart. They practically wrote the book on demand forecasting.
Demand forecasting, what's that all about?
It's basically predicting what customers will buy before they even know they want it. Walmart analyzes mountains of data, like historical sales figures, seasonal trends, even weather patterns to predict which products will be in high demand.
So they're using data to make sure their shelves are always stocked with the stuff people actually want.
Precisely, this minimizes waste, reduces the risk of running out of popular items, and leads to a smoother shopping experience for everyone.
This is blowing my mind.
Huh.
I never realized how much data analysis goes on behind the scenes of my everyday life.
And that's just scratching the surface. There are so many other ways businesses are using statistics to innovate and gain a competitive edge.
Okay, I'm officially hooked, but I have a question. If all these big companies are using statistics to get ahead, where does that leave the rest of us? Do I need a degree in data science to keep up?
That's a great question, and it leads us to a really important point. The benefits of statistics aren't just for data scientists or giant corporations. These are essential tools for anyone in business, no matter the size, who wants to make smarter decisions.
Okay, I like the sound of that. So how can someone who's not a data whiz start incorporating statistics into their business strategy?
One of the most valuable applications of statistics is in risk management.
Interesting. I can see how understanding risk is crucial for any business, but how does statistics fit into that?
Well, think about it. Businesses face uncertainty all the time. Market conditions change customer preferences, shift competitors emerge. Statistical analysis can help you quantify those risks and make more calculated decisions.
So instead of just guessing about what might happen, you're using data to make more informed predictions and plan accordingly.
Exactly. For example, imagine you're considering launching a new product by analyzing market trends, competitor data, and customer feedback. You can use statistical models to estimate the potential demand for your product, assess the likelihood of success, and even identify potential challenges you might encounter.
So it's like you're taking a calculated risk instead of just rolling the dice.
Exactly. It's about giving yourself the best possible chance of success.
This is making me rethink how I approach my own business decisions. It's like having a secret weapon to navigate the complexities of the market.
It is a powerful tool, and another area where statistics can give you an edge is in optimizing your operations for efficiency and profitability.
Okay, tell me more. How can statistics help me boost my bottom line?
Well, let's say you own a manufacturing company. By analyzing data from your production line, you can identify bottlenecks, inefficiencies, and areas where you're wasting time and resources.
So you're using data to basically fine-tune the way your business runs.
Exactly. By applying statistical process control, you can streamline your operations, reduce defects, and increase productivity, all of which lead to a healthier bottom line.
That sounds like a recipe for success.
Yeah,
It's about using data to work smarter, not harder.
you got it. And the best part is that there are a ton of resources and tools available to help you get started.
Okay, before we dive into those resources, I'm curious about something. We've talked about how companies like Target and Walmart are using data to personalize experiences, but how do we ensure that's being done responsibly? Where do we draw the line between helpful personalization and potentially creepy intrusion?
That's a crucial question, and one that we'll definitely dive into in part 2 of our deep dive. It's a delicate balance between leveraging the power of data and respecting the privacy and autonomy of individuals.
Okay, can't wait to explore that further. But before we move on, can we just do a quick recap of the key points we've covered so far, just to make sure everything is crystal clear?
Absolutely. So we started by talking about how statistics act as the recipe for making sense of raw data, turning it into actionable insights.
Right, and then we talked about the difference between descriptive statistics, which paint a picture of the current state, and inferential statistics, which let us predict future trends.
Exactly. And we've seen some amazing real-world examples of how companies are using those types of statistics to do things like optimize their marketing, improve healthcare outcomes, and even predict what we'll buy before we even know we want it.
It's mind-blowing when you think about it, and it all comes back to the idea of making data-driven decisions instead of just relying on gut feelings.
Precisely, it's about using data to gain a deeper understanding of your customers, your business, and the world around you.
This has been an eye-opening conversation so far.
Yeah.
I can't wait to delve deeper into those ethical considerations in part two. But for now, we'll take a quick break. Stay tuned for more insights.
See you soon. Welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about how companies are using statistics to get really good at personalizing those customer interactions.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think about it getting offers and recommendations that are tailored to what you actually want and need.
Right. But like we were saying, it's a real balancing act because there's that fine line between being helpful and feeling like your privacy is being invaded.
Exactly, like how much is too much?
Well, consumers are definitely becoming more aware of how much data is collected about them, and they're starting to demand more transparency and control over how it's being used.
So it's not enough for companies to just use data behind the scenes anymore. They need to be more upfront with customers about what they're doing.
Exactly. Transparency is key. Businesses need to be clear about what data they're collecting, how they're using it, and what's in it for the customer.
Yeah, it's not just about checking boxes and complying with regulations. It's about building trust and showing customers that you actually respect their privacy.
Right, so no more hiding behind the super long, complicated privacy policies that nobody actually reads.
Yeah, exactly. Make it simple and straightforward so people can actually understand what's going on.
Precisely, and give them the option to opt out if they're not comfortable with it.
That makes a lot of sense. So, besides transparency, what are some other things businesses can do to make sure they're using data responsibly?
Another crucial thing is data security companies have a responsibility to protect the data they collect from breaches and hacks.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. We hear about data breaches all the time.
It's a huge issue, and it can have devastating consequences for both businesses and consumers.
Absolutely. So what can companies do to beef up their security?
Well, they need to implement strong security measures, things like encryption, multi-factor authentication, regular security audits.
So it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Not at all. Data security is an ongoing process. You have to constantly be evaluating your systems and looking for ways to improve them.
So we've talked about transparency and security. Any other things companies should be thinking about when it comes to using data ethically?
Yeah, one thing that's really important is to avoid using data in ways that could be discriminatory or biased.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I've heard about algorithms that can actually perpetuate existing biases.
It's a real concern, and companies need to be very careful about how they're using data to make decisions that could impact people's lives.
Absolutely. So for example, if you're using data to screen job applicants, you want to make sure your algorithms aren't unfairly excluding certain groups of people.
Exactly. You need to make sure your data and your algorithms are fair and equitable.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, and it's all super important. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the more practical side of things we've been talking about. All these incredible ways businesses are using statistics. But for someone who's not a data scientist, it can feel a little overwhelming.
Right. It's easy to feel like you need a PhD to even scratch the surface.
Exactly. So where do we even begin?
Well, the good news is that you don't have to be a tech genius to start incorporating data analysis into your business.
Okay, phew. That's a relief.
There are so many tools and resources available that make it easier than ever to analyze data and gain those valuable insights.
Okay, so tell me more. What are these magical tools?
Well, first of all, you don't need to build everything from scratch. There are tons of software packages and online platforms designed specifically for business data analysis.
So you don't need to be coding everything yourself.
Nope. Many of them have user-friendly interfaces and drag-and-drop features, so you can visualize data, identify trends, and create reports without writing a single line of code.
That sounds amazing. So even if you're not super tech savvy, you can still start analyzing your data and getting some really valuable information.
Absolutely. And don't underestimate the power of online courses and tutorials.
Oh yeah, there's so much great stuff available online these days.
Exactly. You can learn the basics of data analysis for free or very little money. And there are tons of resources that can help you continue to grow your skills over time.
Okay, that's great to know. So it sounds like there's really no excuse for not at least trying out data analysis.
I think that's right. It's becoming more accessible and more affordable all the time, and the potential benefits for your business are huge.
Okay, but I do have one more question. What about the cost? These sophisticated data analysis tools, they must be expensive, right?
Actually, not necessarily. A lot of these platforms offer free trials or freemium models, so you can get started without making a big investment up front. And then as your business grows and you need more advanced features, you can always upgrade to a paid plan.
So you can basically start small and scale up as you Need to.
Exactly. It's all about finding the right tools and resources to fit your specific needs and budget.
This is all making me really excited about the possibilities of data analysis. But I also want to circle back to something we were talking about earlier about the balance between using data and still maintaining that human element.
Yeah, it's definitely something we need to be mindful of.
We've talked about how companies can use data to understand customer behavior and personalize their marketing, but I also wonder if there's a risk of becoming too reliant on data.
That's a great point. It's like, could we end up losing sight of those things that make us uniquely human? Things like intuition, creativity, empathy.
Exactly. Those are things that algorithms can't replicate.
Right, and those human qualities are still incredibly valuable in business and in life in general.
So it's not about choosing between data and human intuition. It's about finding that sweet spot where they can work together.
Absolutely. The most successful businesses will be the ones that can effectively combine the power of data with the creativity and empathy that only humans can bring to the table.
That makes me feel a lot better. I don't want to live in a world where everything is driven by algorithms.
Me neither. I think there's a real beauty in finding that balance between data and human ingenuity.
So it's not humans versus machines, it's humans and machines working together.
Exactly. It's about using technology to enhance our abilities, not replace them.
This whole conversation has been so eye-opening. I'm really starting to see how data can be used to create a better future for everyone.
I agree. It's an exciting time to be alive, and I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Me too. But before we get too carried away with the future, let's take a step back and recap what we've covered in this part of our deep dive.
Sounds good. So we started by talking about the ethical considerations of using data.
Right. Things like transparency, security, fairness.
Exactly. We talked about the importance of respecting customer privacy and avoiding bias in our algorithms.
And then we moved on to the more practical side of things, talking about the tools and resources that are available to help anyone start analyzing data.
Right. We talked about how you don't need to be a tech whiz to get started and how there are plenty of affordable options out there.
And then we circled back to the importance of finding that balance between data and human intuition.
Yeah, we talked about how data can be a powerful tool, but it's important to remember that it's just a tool and it's up to us humans to use it responsibly and ethically.
This has been an awesome conversation so far, and I can't wait to dive into the future of data analysis in our next segment.
Me too. Let's take a look at what's on the horizon.
All right, so we've spent the last two parts of this deep dive exploring the power of statistics in business, and now it's time to look ahead to the future.
The future of data analysis. Yeah.
Exactly. What trends are you seeing, and what kind of impact do you think they'll have?
Well, one of the most exciting and honestly kind of mind-blowing trends is the rise of AI and machine learning.
Okay, AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, those are definitely buzzwords we hear all the time. But how do they actually play into data analysis?
Well, traditional statistical methods are like following a recipe step by step.
Okay.
With AI and machine learning, it's more like you give the computer the whole cookbook and it figures out its own recipes.
Whoa. So instead of us telling the computer what to do, we're giving it the tools and data to learn and adapt on its own.
Exactly. And these AI algorithms, they can process huge amounts of data, way more than a human ever could, and find patterns that we might completely miss.
And then what use those patterns to make predictions?
Exactly. And the more data they process, the better they get at it. They actually learn from their mistakes.
That's kind of scary, but also super cool.
It is pretty amazing, but it's important to remember AI and machine learning are just tools. They're only as good as the data we feed them and the humans who are guiding them.
So we don't have to worry about robots taking over the world just yet.
Not yet, at least. So how are businesses using AI and machine learning to get ahead?
Yeah, what are some of the real-world applications?
One area that's really being transformed is personalized marketing.
Oh, yeah. How so?
AI algorithms can analyze customer data, like their past purchases, browsing history, even social media activity to understand their preferences, and then deliver marketing messages that are specifically tailored to them.
So it's like a personal shopper for everyone, but it's an algorithm instead of a person.
Exactly. And it can be incredibly effective at driving sales and building customer loyalty.
That makes sense. So what else can AI do?
Another really interesting area is fraud detection. AI can analyze transactions in real time and spot patterns that might indicate fraud.
And it can do that way faster than a human could.
Way faster, and it's getting better all the time as it learns new fraud tactics.
This is also fascinating, but with all this talk about AI, I have to ask, what role will humans play in this future, where data is king?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Right, will we all be replaced by robots?
I don't think so. While AI can automate a lot of tasks, there are certain things it can't replicate.
Like what?
Human judgment, creativity, empathy, those things are still incredibly valuable.
So it's not about choosing between humans and machines. It's about finding the right balance.
Exactly. The businesses that will thrive will be the ones that can combine the power of AI with human ingenuity.
It sounds like we're going to need people who can understand both data and human behavior.
Absolutely. We need data scientists, ethicists, creative thinkers who can take the insights from AI and turn them into strategies that benefit everyone.
This whole conversation has been mind-blowing. We've covered so much ground from the basics of statistics to the future of AI. It's been quite a journey.
It really has. And the key takeaway is that data is a powerful tool, but it's up to us to use it wisely and ethically.
Absolutely well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into the world of statistics and business.
It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Likewise, thanks for sharing your expertise and for helping us understand how data is shaping the future of business.
Anytime. And thanks to everyone for listening.
And remember, keep exploring those data-driven possibilities, and until next time, keep asking those great questions.